What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the workshop. I hope you're all keeping well. Now, I'm building a project for my new workbench, and it is this, the Workbench tool holder, or we might just call it the Workbench Buddy. So this is what I've just been making, and this is what this video is going to be about. It's to hold all my commonly used tools. Normally, when I'm working, my tools are scattered all over my bench. It gets a bit messy. Things are rolling and falling on the floor. And because my new workbench is a lot smaller than my previous workbench and it doesn't have a tool well, building something like this is absolutely ideal. It kind of encourages me or forces me to be a bit neater, so when I have my most used tools that I use in any project are right here, they're right to hand, it's a nice angle, I can see everything. Can also move it around from dog hole to dog hole and keep everything nice and organized. So it's only my most used tools on a project. It's not all the tools that I have, but I can put more on it if I want. And like I said, it's at a really nice angle, it's good and strong, nice bit of joint in it. We have a nice big 1-inch dowel holding this whole thing together. It's made from cherry and oak. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump in. Let's build ourselves a workbench tool holder or a workbench buddy. Let's do it. Okay, let's get going with this project. Now, I'm just going to design this on the fly. I have an idea in my head, but it's going to evolve as we go along. I have my materials here, so I'm going to be using this 1-inch oak dowel. So all the holes in these Sjobergs benches are 1-inch or 25 millimeters, so they're larger than the 3/4 size that you get on standard dog holes. So that's it, a 1-inch or 25 mil dowel oak. I have this square piece of oak that we're going to be using as well, left over from my perch stool build. And I have a piece of cherry here that we're going to use for the main, say, table top of our tool holder. And a bunch of tools here that I kind of have on the bench all the time when I'm working. So just a few chisels, marking knife, marking gauges, a couple of rulers and squares. So they're always on the bench when I'm doing a project. And it'd be nice to have them up out of the way to free up a bit of space. Because as I said, this does not have a tool well and tools can roll off the bench and get in the way. So don't have to fit too much onto it. We'll try and get all this onto it if we can, and it'll be nice and handy to reach here and up out of the way. So without further ado, let's crack on. We don't have much to do. Let's fit the dowel into our oak post first, and we can take it from there. Okay, first job, I'm going to drill a 25 mil hole in the end of this oak. This is 2-inch by 2-inch or 25 mil by 25 mil. So yeah, first off, center find. Let's get the center of that. And I'm going to drill a hole here with an auger bit. Okay, I just have a laser set up just to give me a guideline, just to try and stay nice and straight and perpendicular down through this piece. Now, I'm going to be using an auger bit. They have a screw. These ones are good and sharp, but I don't want the screw pulling me down into the end grain. So I'm just going to drill a pilot hole first, and this will stop the screw from catching. So I'm just going to line that laser up with that bit. I'm just going to eyeball it this way as well. And try and keep it as straight as we can. Now, that should stop the screw from catching too much and pulling me too hard in. Yeah, that's only spinning, which is good. Okay, I don't need to go too far in here, just enough to get a good glue surface. And yeah, again, just eyeballing with the laser. Actually, I'll drop it down a touch because will be easier. Okay, that should be plenty. Get our dowel in there. Some glue in that, and we'll be good to go. Okay, now that my dowel is in, I can see how long exactly it needs to be. So drop that down through the bench, let that sit there. And I want it full length down through the bench, just a little bit more. That's all, not too much. So we can cut it right there. Okay, I'm actually going to have another go at drilling that because it was slightly crooked and I wanted this to sit flush, and so I'm going to use 2 lasers this time. Okay, I did a slightly better job that time. It's not perfect. Using the drill press is probably the way to go, but you know what, it's close enough, and I think in the glue up of the dowel I should be pretty good. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but we're pretty close. Perfectly square that way, a little bit off that way, but we have enough that I can get it back perfectly square. Okay, we'll call that good enough. Now let's decide on our height and our angle for our table. Okay, so I'm just trying to decide on a height and an angle. So it has to be high enough so that the chisels don't hit the bench. So the lowest chisel will be somewhere around there, and the angle then, something that's just nice to grab tools off. So I think something around 20 degrees would be good. And that's kind of the lowest chisel. How low can we get with that? About there, that's kind of our limit. So I just mark that roughly there. That's the bottom of my board. And that should give me something to work to. So I'll just match that angle again. Scribe a line there, and we shall cut it at that. Okay, that angle, it works out exactly 35 degrees, bang on, so that's what it's going to be. I'm going to actually leave it a little bit longer than what I marked it, because I want some of this to be recessed into the kind of tabletop or the tool holder top. So yeah, we'll just chop it about there. Okay, so that's going to sit into my board just like that. You can see the idea. That will be almost a perfect angle, I think. Right, so I'm going to glue the dowel into this, let that set up, put this aside for a minute, and while that's gluing up, I'm going to prepare this board. So it's a bit wide for my planer thicknesser, so I'll have to do it by hand, but it's not too big, so we'll do that in a few minutes. Okay, let's prepare this top. Like I said, it's not going to be too hard. Whenever I'm flattening a board like this, I just work across the grain first. It's nice, quick and easy. Get all the rough parts taken down. Then we can start taking strokes across with it down the board to flatten it off. So good sharp plane. Let me just check to see how flat we are, and it's the center is high on this, so it's looking good there. Still a bit of it there. There we go. That is flat enough for our purposes. Hey guys, our board is all dimensioned up. Everything is nice and square, so we have good square reference edges to work off. I've just marked a center line. I've come in 70 mil from the edge, or that's about an inch, 2 inches and 3/4 roughly. So I've just marked my center line on my piece here. I'm just going to use my square to line up the edge of this. I'm just going to mark around this because I'm going to recess this into the back piece ever so slightly. Don't let that move. And then I'm going to drive a dowel in from the top. Okay, that is my recess I need to cut out. Anyways, I'm just going to round out most of this and then all the square edges with the chisel. And yeah, nice and simple. So you can see the beauty of the perch stool now for working at your bench. It's an ideal stool. So let's crack on and route this out. Okay, so all routed out. I'm just finishing it off with the chisel around the edges. Noisy and dusty Oaks routers. I do hate using them. I'm not very good with them either. I always forget which rotation and which direction I should be going in. But yeah, I'm going to clean this up with the chisel. Now, there's a handy little thing there as well, that trend router pod for standing your routers on so you don't have to retract a bit, just to save your workbench. Okay, perfect fit, first time, which is nice, that doesn't usually happen. Okay, now that's cut out, I just want to transfer all my lines around to the front so I can see where my square is. So I want to find the exact center of that. I want to drill a 25mm hole from the top then straight down through and straight into that piece, and I'm going to use this board as a guide to drill into the face of that that's cut at 35 degrees. So that should make it a bit easier for us. Here we go, here's my square. It's actually a rectangle now because the square was cut at an angle. Just get the exact center of that. Right there. Now I want to drill a perfectly perpendicular 25mm hole straight down through that. Okay, laser time again. Let's get everything lined up. I'm going to use a Forstner bit this time because it's a bit easier to control. Now, I hear you saying, well, why didn't you use that all along? Well, because my Forstner bits are in a bad shape of repair and I need new ones, and drilling into end grain with this would have been quite painful. So they are very blunt, but I'm hoping it'll go down into this a bit easier. Okay, that should give me my auger bit something to run in. Okay. Yeah, so the auger bit moved, or the Forstner bit moved. They're not very sharp, so it kind of wandered a bit, which is not good. But we should be okay. Okay, so my piece set up on my bench. I have my hole drilled through. I'm just going to lock this on, just like that. I'm going to use this as my guide. I'm going to drill a 25mm hole down through that with the auger bit now. And we will shove that dowel down through, and that will help glue and lock everything into place, and it will be a really strong joint indeed. I might even leave this protrude a small bit because I could use this as a tool hanger or some way of holding a tool. So we'll see in a little while. But yeah, it's so nice having a fully functioning workbench. This is the first project I've done on this bench now. It just makes everything so much quicker and easier. Even a little task like this, everything is perfectly flat, flush and true. And I can just put that on there, leave it in place, and drop a clamp onto it to hold fast. And it makes everything just so much easier, quicker and more accurate. Let's drill this. Hey guys, we're making good progress. Now you can see the whole point of this. This is me when I'm working. I don't know about you guys, but I end up with tools everywhere. And how can you build on this bench with stuff everywhere like this now? So that's what I'm hoping this project will alleviate some of this, because there's no tool well in this bench. And I had all the real estate on my last bench. It was huge. It was essentially an 8x4 sheet. But this is a lot smaller, so I have to work smarter and tidier. So this should help with that. But yeah, this is usually me. Stuff all over the place, workshop in chaos, and then tidy everything up when the project is done. Let's crack on. Okay, let's take a look at what we have so far. So we have our stand made. So that will clip on there like that, perfect. And then our dowel will lock everything in place. So we'll cut that, like I said, and we might actually use this for holding a tool. We'll see. But now, laying out the tools, what do we want to do here? That is the question. So I would like it to be able to hold a number of chisels. So I think I'm going to cut slots or holes down the side to hold my chisels. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. I think should be plenty there. Now, normally you would cut slots and you could drop your chisel any size down into it. I also use Japanese chisels, and slots won't work for these because, as you can see, the shaft on them, it really widens out. So they need a hole that you can clip into from the side. So that's what we're going to do, drill some holes and just cut into them, and we can drop these in. Then we have things like marking gauges. That's simple enough, just a nice little hole for those. Again, we want to put a slot maybe for my squares. They need to go somewhere, so just somewhere to put a square, and maybe even leave my hand plane up on it. What do we think about that? The hand plane is quite heavy, but it would be nice to be able to put that up on it all right, and just leave it there like that. So we might route in a dado here and put a piece of walnut or something across the bottom, and we can leave stuff sit on that as well. So yeah, let's crack on. I'm going to mark out for my chisels, drill those holes and cut them out first. That'll be our first job. Okay, so for my chisels then, I've just marked in for 4 chisels. That'll be enough that I need on the workbench at any one time. And I've just measured in 50mm or 2 inches from the top, and then a 2-inch or 50mm spacing. And I won't put anything down here because I'm going to put that bit of walnut in there. Now, I'm just going to eyeball these. They don't have to be perfectly perpendicular. So, like I said, I'm just going to eyeball these. Too bad. Okay, now that all the holes are drilled, I just want to cut slots down through all these. Lovely. Hey guys, there we go. Nice and simple. Just holes to drop your chisels in. Again, cut the holes with the slots on the side so that works with my Japanese chisels. And I've just hit them with a taper bit, just to taper the hole a small bit, just so they sit in a bit better and they don't fall out. So very, very straightforward indeed. Now I'm going to cut in my dado, and I'm going to set in my piece of walnut next. Okay, I'm just going to cut this dado using my little plough plane, one of my favourite tools. This is my little Lubin plough plane. I might need to get another clamp on that, I think. Lovely, just like that. Beautiful. Yes, if you have a look at where we're at now, so I've just drilled an extra couple of holes, not too many. So let's get that to sit in there properly, like that, in our dowel. So I've cut the dowel. I've just drilled 2 holes up on top for the marking gauges. You can sit there like that. Now this particular one here, I've taken the old block that I messed up that I drilled off center, cut the 35-degree angle in it, the same one as I cut for this. Use this then as a guide to drill with my auger bit. Put that dowel in. That will now sit there. Glue that in place as well. And that can be, you know, for marking knives, pencils and all that kind of stuff can sit up there nicely out of the way. So chisels back in there, just like that. My mallet, something I always have on the workbench as well, and my plane. Square can sit there. You know, and that's kind of basically it. I don't want to go too crazy and too mad and put too much stuff on it. It's just to try and keep the workbench somewhat tidy when I'm working. I've decided against putting the saws on it because I usually just take them out of my saw till and they're not really in the way. So I just think that's kind of enough stuff for now. I can always add more stuff here if I feel like I need to. Maybe a little spot I could put for my little small square, because I do use this a lot. Or that could even sit there like that. Perfect. Job done. That's good enough for me. So yeah, so a lot of shaping and sanding and stuff to do on this. So I'm going to start chamfering some edges. So let's get doing that and make it look a little bit better. Okay guys, we are all sanded up and everything's more or less ready to go. So I'm just going to add a bit of leather to the base here, just for where it sits and spins on the top of the workbench, so that it's not scratching it or wearing into it. The leather will just help. So just a little bit of super glue on the end of that. And just get that on there. Press it down. Just let that set up and then I'll trim it all around. Hey guys, there is really nothing left to do apart from get some finish on it now. My firm favourite, a bit of Danish oil. Nice, quick and simple. So yeah, turned out quite nicely. Pretty happy with it so far. Hopefully it should be as functional as I need it to be. And it will keep this particular workbench nice and tidy. So with the cherry and the oak as well, and a bit of walnut, it should be a nice contrast. So I'll just drop a little bit of oil on that. Just let that soak in. And as always, the cherry looks fantastic when you put a finish on it. Really darkens up. Turns a nice kind of browny, orangey, reddy colour, which only darkens over time. Nice contrast with the walnut there. And the oak. Yeah. Might as well use the dog hole. That's what it's made for. It'll make it a bit easier. And we'll get the finish on it. So I'll crack on now, get the finish on this, and I'll show you guys the finished product. Okay guys, it is all finished. My workbench tool holder, workbench buddy, whatever you want to call it, is all done. So nothing left to do but just put a few tools on it when I'm working on a project. And again, I can leave it there. It's more or less out of the way. It's easy to throw it down the other end of the bench. If I'm working up this end of the bench, it can just sit there. It's down there out of the way. You know, whatever voice I'm working on, it's easy to move it around when it's not in use. You can even leave it out there in the voice itself. So that's handy. So let me throw a few tools on it. You guys can see it in operation, and hopefully it keeps this workbench a little bit tidier. That's the plan anyway. Okay guys, there we go. Workbench tool holder all finished. Workbench buddy all done. And I'm really happy with how that turned out. So it's really going to do the job. It's nice and stable, nice and sturdy. That 2x2 oak post down into the bench is good and strong. With a nice strong joint on top with the dowel, the 1 inch or 25mm dowel gone all the way through that there now. So that's good and strong indeed. There's no chance of that falling off. It's carrying a nice bit of weight now at the minute with the number 5.5 on it and everything else in there. And there's no problem turning it around whatsoever. So as you can see now, I have my whole bench is now free. It's a nice angle just to reach over, just to take anything that I want out. You just pick it up, drop it in. Chisels, marking gauges, pencils, that kind of thing, and just keeps the bench that bit clearer, because like I said, it doesn't have a tool well and I've lost a lot of space from my last bench. So this will encourage me to be a little bit neater when I'm working. So there we go, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed that one. Hopefully it gives you guys some inspiration. Maybe you want to make one for your workbench. You get a few ideas from it. As always, comments, questions below. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. That's the best way you can help me out. Your comments as well, another great thing. I love seeing all your comments. I try to reply to everybody if I can. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you'll know when I upload my videos. So there you go, guys. The Workbench Buddy, Workbench tool holder. I'm going to get out of here now. Until the next project, I shall see you then.